Do you want to set up your GovCon business, but you're confused on the right path forward to get started? You want to do everything right, but you find so much misinformation, you're going back and forth, spending days and weeks trying to find the right information, and you just want to get started so you can start going after contracts because you know that you can do a good job and you can win. If this sounds at all like you, there's so many people that I've spoken with that I've gotten on the right path. So in this video, I'm going to lay out the 3 steps that every GovCon business must go through. And I promise you it's going to be easier and faster than you ever thought. And at a very minimum, once you're set up, you're going to be able to start bidding those government contracts. So stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, guys? Derek James here with GovKid Method. I got started out in government contracting when I was 26 years old. Before my 30th birthday, I'd managed to win over 32 U.S. federal government contracts with over $15 million. And now I spend my time today working with small business owners to help get them started, get them set up, and help with bidding strategies and basically anything that you need. So as I mentioned in today's video, I'm going to be going over the 3 main steps that every GovCon business has to go through to get set up to start bidding and winning government contracts. I'm going to take you into the live feed, sharing my screen so that you can see exactly those 3 steps. But if at all you could relate to me, when I first got started, I had no idea what I was doing. I had nobody to help me out. The training I had was minimal to none. So hopefully you find this video helpful. So check it out.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Step number 1, here it is. You need to get your DUNS number. This is a DUNS number, DUNS number, and it is typically the first step that everybody takes when registering your GovCon business and getting started on the path to starting to bid government contracts. Now, I will tell you that you have to have some form of EIN or TIN or your tax ID number already set up for a business. So you do have to have your business already set up in terms of your tax structure. So once you have that set up, your first step here is getting a DUNS number. And this is found at the website dnb.com, Dun & Bradstreet. And if you go to the website, there's a tab that says right here, DUNS number, and you have a few different options. If you already have a DUNS number or you want to look up some information on a company, you can look at these options down here, or if you want to update some information. But the purposes of watching this video, you want to get a DUNS number. So feel free to click on that. So next, it's going to ask you for the primary reason. And the 3 standard options are: you have a US-based business already, you're an Apple developer, or you're a US government contractor or grantee. So you want to select what option is appropriate for you. Most people usually select either you're just a US-based business, or if you are going to be primarily a government contractor, which is typically what people go for, then you'll want to select that option. Okay, that brings us to this next screen where it's going to say, please select the territory and country. And we would select United States. Okay. Enter the following information for companies located. So then you're just going to put in your business name and your street information. So I'm not actually trying to get a DUNS number, so I'm not going to put this information in and submit it. But there's only a few questions that you have to go through getting your DUNS number, and then you will automatically get it. And that's as easy as step 1 gets. So that wasn't too hard. At the end of this process, you should have an automatically generated DUNS number for your incorporated company. Whether you're an LLC, you'll have that. Okay, so next, step 2. In step 2, you want to go to the website sam.gov. That's S-A-M, M as in Michael, sam.gov. And that stands for the System for Award Management. The purpose for this website is to register your business. This is essentially where you're actually registering your business to bid and win federal government contracts. That means if you're not set up in here, if you're not registered, you actually cannot be awarded a government contract. So that's why this step is so crucial. And you need your DUNS number in filling out your entity registration. And so that's why we did that as step number 1, and that was fairly simple. So step number 2 is getting started in SAM. The first thing you want to do in SAM is you want to create your user account. This is going to get you set up with an email and your password. So if you click here, you'll find that you just kind of get sent to this Q&A page, which is a little confusing. So that's actually not where you want to click, even though it's tempting. What you want to do is you want to go up. They've updated the way to sign in and to create an account by this yellow tab. So you want to click login. And then down here, you want to actually click create an account. And this is where you'll enter your email address. And then it's going to take you to set up your password and all that. Step 1 of 4 right here. Once you do that, you'll get your emails sent to whatever email you put in, and then you'll have your login. Then you'll actually be able to log in. Okay, so once you've logged in, and you use that login for information that was sent to your email, you may be asked a question initially that you have to accept because this is a federal government contract. So once you click accept to that and you review the terms, you'll be taken to your My SAM profile. So this is your SAM profile. Now you've created your account and you're in. Good job. You're well on your way to getting set up. The next step, and this, we're still under step number 2, but within this step number 2, what you need to do is register your entities. So if you go over to the left here, this should look exactly the same for you. You see my user roles, entity users, and then entity registration. And that's what you want to click. And you'll see existing, register new, or bio preferred reporting. What you want to do is click on register new entity. Once you do that, it will take you to this overview page with a start registration button at the bottom. Now, before you get started, I want to tell you a few things. The first thing is it's going to take you an hour to 2 hours to go through this process. So you want to make sure that you have that amount of time set aside and committed to do this. The good news is that this is probably the most lengthy part of all 3 steps. And it's really not that bad with all things considered. And there are a few things in terms of pieces of information that you want to have on hand so that when you sit down to do this, you can just blast through it. So I've made a short list of the things that you want to have on hand. The first one, as I mentioned earlier, you want to have your DUNS number because as you look at this outline, you want your DUNS information. It's asking you for your DUNS information right away. You also want to have your TIN or your tax ID number. You want to have the social security number for the person who's going to be associated with the SAM profile. Typically, it's the business owner, but if you're doing this registration on behalf of somebody, you want to make sure you have their information. You also want to have the point of contact information for that person. That will include an address and a phone number as well, and an email. You also want to have bank account information. So you do need a bank account number and routing number for the purposes of registering your small business. So once you have that information on hand, you have 1 to 2 hours spare time. There's one other thing that I'm going to need you to do. Going through this process, you're going to set up a cage code. You may have heard that. I'm saying that just in case you're wondering where that comes in. You'll see in the step cage or encage code, you'll fill out in there that you don't have a cage code yet, and it'll prompt you and get you set up, and you will have a cage code. But that one doesn't come overnight. That one can take 1 week up to a couple weeks, depending on how busy the DLA is. But the one thing I want you guys to do is you're going to be selecting NAICS code information. That's NAICS. You're going to associate NAICS codes that are associated with your business. So I'm going to give you a resource right now so that you have that. So when you get to that, you don't get stumped and you're like, Derek left me hanging. I'm not going to leave you hanging, guys. So if you go to Google and you type in NAICS, NAICS, and you just go NAICS SBA, it'll bring up the size standard table, and it's a PDF. Once you click that, it's going to pull up all the NAICS codes that exist, period. So what you want to do is you want to find NAICS codes that are associated with the product, good, or service that your company is going to be selling to the government, so that when it asks you for NAICS codes, you have some of these codes to put in. The codes are these 6-digit numbers, 335, 129, etc. I don't read through this. I don't expect anybody to do that. If you want to use Control F, in your construction company, you put in construction. They make these rather straightforward to find, and they also group them in these main sections. So if you find your main section, say your staffing or your professional services, they'll have a main section for that as well. So didn't want to leave you guys hanging on that. So this, if you go to this resource, this SBA document that'll pull up in Google, it always has for years, you can have your NAICS codes information. The rest of the information they're going to ask you, it's going to be questions related to your business and your setup, things that'll be different for everybody, but they are all straightforward. There's nothing you should really be stumped on other than the information that I kind of gave you right now, like the NAICS codes. You should be able to answer all the questions, and once you do that, you submit your registration. So when you're ready to get started, you can click Start Registration. I'm not going to click it because I'm not wanting to start a new entity in the SAM profile here. But those are the steps to get you through. And once you do that, you'll click Submit. You'll get all the correspondence to the email that is associated with this. So you want to watch your emails and check your junk email. The whole process typically takes 1 to 3 weeks. They may come back and ask you a few questions. They typically will, and they usually do so within the first week. And just answer those questions. They're not hard questions or anything. Answer those, and you will receive a final confirmation in your email saying that your entity is now registered, and also that your cage code is completed and set up, and that you'll have your DUNS and your cage code in that email. So you'll have your DUNS and your cage, and you'll have your entity registration set up, all completed by the end of step number 2. Okay guys, you made it. Here we are at step 3. Step 3 is going to be setting up your DSBS profile. That's your dynamic small business search profile. Now the way to get to this is a little, well, it's not tricky, but most people just don't know about it. And you'd be surprised at how many people don't even set up their dynamic small business search, and they wouldn't even consider this a step. But anybody that I help or work with, I make sure that I take them through all the things. That way there's no question about it. So many of you want to get set up, but you want to do it the right way, and you want to build on a strong foundation. So that's why I'm actually considering this as step 3, because it is super important. I don't know why others don't give it the credit that it deserves, but that's what we're going to get into. So the way that you get into your dynamic small business search profile is actually through your SAM profile. So if you've just gone through your setting up your SAM, what you'll find is the very last page before you submit your registration. And you access this once you're set up. You can go back and update your existing entity, is what it's called. So you'll go in to update your business entity, and you go to the page before the last, and it's called your SBA profile. And it brings you to this tab here. When you click on it, I'm going to open it up in a new window so you can see it. It takes you to this whole different website. So now you're out of SAM and you're over to this SBA website that's just got a lot of text and a lot of jargon. What you want to do is, when you go to set this up, you just come to the bottom of this page and you click next. There's this left text, right text thing. You can do that if you want, but you don't have to. What you do is you click next to get started, and it'll have you start filling out information. So I pulled up a sample profile so that you can see what the end product looks like. Some of the information pulls automatically from your SAM profile, so you don't have to fill it out. Other information you do have to fill out, otherwise it remains blank. And that's why I consider this step so important. And it just boggles my mind why some people want to leave all their information blank. And I'll tell you, the DSBS is a database, the Dynamic Small Business Search. That is where government contracting officers go to search for companies. They can search based on set aside or based on keywords, or based on the type of company that they need for a service. And then they can reach out to you if they want, for example, a capability statement from you, or they want to talk to you on the phone and find out more about your company. All of that is done using the dynamic small business search profile. And it just begs the question as to, again, why some people don't want to utilize this. You want to use this as much as possible, and that's why we're setting this up. So this first information, your identification, location, and contacts, this is going to automatically pull from your SAM.gov information. And this is public information. I went to the dynamic small business search and I just pulled up a random company, and that's what we're looking at right now. The next is your organization, ownership, and certifications. You can see here that this company actually is an 8A company, if you know what that is, and they started in 2014, and it's a 9-year program, so they'll be ending in 2023. That all is going to automatically pull. I forgot to mention, but when you go through setting up your SAM, it's going to allow you to talk about your set-asides. So when you set up your SAM, you'll be able to put into your SAM if you're 8A, if you're small disadvantaged, if you're hub zone. Those type of set-asides can be very important. And that's actually a topic for an entirely different video, but those will automatically pull. Next, products and services. This is information that doesn't pull. You'll see here capabilities narrative, none given, because they just left it blank. And this is what happens, and this is what it looks like if you register in SAM, but then you don't go to this last step, step 3 here, and set up your profile. It's just blank. This is an opportunity where you want to write a few sentences to a paragraph, just talking about your business, talking about your company. You want to sell yourself. This is marketing 101, and that's the type of information you want to put in here. Special equipment and materials, depending on what type of company you are, that may be appropriate. And the same if you're a construction company, your bonding levels. If you're not in construction, you're not going to have any bonding, so you don't want to worry about that. NAICS codes, these do automatically pull. And so you can see these are the NAICS codes that they've put. Looks like they've got about a dozen NAICS codes that pull from their SAM.gov profile. And when you go to set up your SAM.gov profile and you're talking about NAICS codes, it's going to ask you for a primary. So you can see that this one is their primary because it says yes next to it. Next, as you can see, this is fairly short and sweet. I'm getting down to the bottom of the page already. This probably will only take you 30 minutes or so to do. And you can always come back and edit and make changes to this. And you can always edit and make changes to your SAM profile as well. And those changes will follow through and take place here as well. So, on your first going through this, I don't want you guys to be stressed out in steps 1, 2, or 3. Step 1 is just getting your DUNS, and that's really easy for all of us. Steps 2 and 3, I just want you to know that you can make changes at any time. It just takes a couple days for the changes to take effect. Then you can go in and make more changes if you want. And the way that these are set up, because businesses are constantly growing, you're constantly going after different types of contracts. And so you need to reflect that information. So I just want you to know, guys, you don't have to stress. This is user friendly, and it's meant to be adaptable to your business. So if you make changes or you gain some set asides, you can input that information in the future. So wrapping up here, you see keywords. Keywords, these do not automatically pull. Keywords, we all have to be experts in SEO, search engine optimization, on our businesses as small business owners. You would want to have more than 2 keywords in here. So based on whatever business you're in, have a list of, I would say as many as you can. I don't remember if there's a limit on character count, but have 10 or 12 keywords in here that contracting officers can use to find your business. And then it looks like, yep, this export profile, usually, unless you're an exporter, you don't even put information in here. So mostly this blank. Lastly, though, very important, this performance history, references, also known as past performance when you're writing proposals. A lot of people tend to leave this blank, and I have a big problem with that. So you don't want to leave this blank. You want to find 3, 4, 5 performance histories, past performance of contracts that you've done in the past, and you want to put that information here. And if you don't have that, you can always use commercial, or personal performance, things that maybe you've done, on a job before you opened your business, things like that. If that's in the same line of work that your business is, that I'm assuming, you can use personal past performance in that type. Or you can always work with if you have a JV setup or other affiliations with other companies that you're set up that you've worked with projects on or that you're going to be in the future. You can sometimes use that information in this section. I just like to give that because I know a lot of you're looking at this and you don't have anything to put in here, or maybe you only have one job and it's not a government related job, it's a commercial job. That's okay. You put in here what you have. It's anything's better than leaving it blank. The one thing, some people will purposely leave this blank though because they're afraid of other companies like their competition going after their previous contacts or their past contracts if they're follow-on contracts and they're still being worked on. And so they don't want to provide that information because they're afraid of somebody doing that. Well, let me tell you, if there's a company that's researching your business and they're trying to go after your contracts, you're not going to be able to stop them. DSBS is not the only information where they can find this information. It's public information, and they can always FOIA your company to find out what contracts you've won on. So holding that back is actually only hurting and hindering you, because when a contracting officer looks at this and they see that none is given, they think that you haven't done any work before, which is the absolute worst. That speaks volumes in a very negative way about your company. And so they'll probably just pass and they'll go to the next company that does have something written here. So, this company, for example, they either chose not to write this on purpose. My guess is they just left it blank because all these other things are not filled out great. They only put 2 keywords in here. That's not that great. But who knows? It's not my job to weigh in on that. But this is step 3. As you can see, it's not terribly difficult. Again, what you do is at the end of your SAM registration, it'll take you to this page. You open this up and you start answering the questions. And when you're done, your ultimate profile is going to look like this. So I hope this was helpful.
All right, guys, so welcome back. I hope you found those 3 steps to be fairly straightforward and simple. I've known a number of people who told me, man, Derek, if I had known this a year ago, I would already be set up in bidding. Or others who have spent, thousands of dollars working with a so-called, consultant or expert to get set up, just to get to those basic 3 steps. I wanted to provide this information to you free of value. And, as you can see in the timetable and everything I laid out, especially for SAM, you should really be able to have this whole process done in about 30 days. Just set a month aside to getting your business set up and registered. And then after that, you can get started bidding. So again, I hope you found this helpful to answer your questions. I want to let you know a few other things. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I got started in government contracting at the age of 26. I knew absolutely nothing. And by my 30th birthday, I had won 32 US federal contracts, totaling worth over $15 million. And to me, I thought that was pretty crazy. And the more and more people I talked to, I found out that my story wasn't so typical. So what I actually ended up doing was creating a book. I documented my journey and my story in a book called Winning Government Contracts. You can get that book on Amazon. It's live today. And I actually created a second book, which is a workbook that goes along with that. It's an actual, both of these books are physical copies, which I'll show you right here. I have physical copies of both of the books. This is the book, Winning Government Contracts. And then the workbook is larger. And it actually gives you, it's in color. Amazon prints it for me. It gives you questions, lots of, basically a strategy guide based on my story that you can apply to your business. When I wrote it, I was like, man, I wish I had something that I could just give people to show them what actually works and just cut through all of the BS. So that's the reason the reason why I wrote both of those books last year in 2018, and you can get both of those books on Amazon right now. So if you're looking at setting up your business, but you still have some questions, or you want some inspiration, or you want learn more about the opportunity that government contracting has and maybe how much of their opportunity for you. Check out those books, maybe do that first before creating and getting set up, and that'll help answer some of your questions. And then lastly, if you decide that you're good to go, you want to do this thing, maybe you already know that you're all in. I actually created a course. It's a 27 video course. It's me talking with you just like I am doing right here. It's a government contracting course that I have to take aspiring small business owners through the process of getting set up, but this goes through and talks a lot more about strategy and bidding and target agencies and all the things that you really need to get into if you're going to commit to this and make this a business. I highly recommend you going through that course. Like I said, it's 27 videos, and I will include the course link as well as the video or the book links rather. If you're interested in any of these resources, I created them especially for you guys to use to help you out in your government contracting journey. So if you like this video, please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to have lots more videos like this. And if you have any comments or any questions, drop those in the comments as well, and I will be happy to get to those guys. So until next time, thanks.